Welcome back to Tailgate Sports Media Podcast, the premier podcast for sports, mostly football, and the tailgate, the most important part about sports. I'm Peyton. That's Devin. We're back. This is episode 20. Round of applause. We did it. All right. Um, yeah, so we're going to start with the NFL because yeah, it just makes sense. All right, so today we're starting with the NFL. The three games we picked last week, we picked the Panthers, Bucks, Seahawks, Rams, and we picked there's one more. Panthers, Bucks, Seahawks, Rams, and I have it here. Hold on. Niners. No, I'm sorry. It was the Niners, Seahawks, Ravens, Steelers, Panthers, Bucks. The Rams did not play the Seahawks. I don't know why I kept saying the Seahawks, Rams. All right. All right. So I guess we'll start off with the Bucks Panthers. Um, Bucks beat the Panthers.
Yep.
Kind of it was a rainy game. Not a whole lot of offense was played. It was okay. It was an okay offensive game, but really it was mostly the first half. A lot of field goals were kicked. Um, yeah, they had the Bucks won, beat the Panthers, but ended up losing because um the Saints lost to the Falcons by 2 points. So yeah. Um that's it. I mean, what I don't know what else to say about that game.
Don't go 1-7 and you still in the playoffs.
Yeah, if they won, yeah, it was just really bad half of the no defense was played for that team. Baker, I mean, like, yeah, it was yeah, that team's got a lot of holes to fix, which were it was pretty evident in the beginning of the season, but really came evident down the stretch. All right, moving forward. The next game is the Steelers Ravens. The Ravens lose to the Steelers.
Yep.
They don't make the playoffs, and then they fire John Harbaugh. So, I mean,
Probably
that's
the most insane fire.
yeah, I feel like that's the first time they haven't made the playoffs in a long time.
They missed it in 2021, I think.
Yeah, yeah, they
And
did. You're right.
I feel like that might have been another injury here.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely didn't make the playoffs because of injuries. I mean, I don't know, not crazy, but I mean, at some point, it probably came down to, like if we're gonna move on, this is the year to do it. And someone,
Supposedly reports coming out that he didn't want to get rid of his OC and that's why that they fired him.
yeah, that would make sense. But I don't know if offense is necessarily their problem. They had some holes. But yeah, I mean, it all like that whole team runs through Lamar Jackson. So if you don't, you don't. Yeah, I mean, so the Steelers are in the playoffs, I believe. Yeah, they are. And so yeah, uh, that's it. And then the final game was the Seahawks. None of these games were like they weren't very exciting.
Steelers or Ravens was pretty decent. You kind of Steelers kind of come back. It ends up being a close game.
Yeah,
It's not a absolute bore fest for most of it, but yeah, there wasn't any like super crazy good games.
right. I don't know. Maybe I'm just like still on the high of the FCS national championship, but yeah, like I don't know. That's the only game I can like remember that and the Ole Miss game. But um, yeah, so the Seahawks and the Niners played. The Seahawks beat the Niners 13-3, I think. Um, again, weather's not great. Defensive matchup. Seahawks win. They take first in the division. and they get a bye, I believe,
Yep.
which is kind of crazy. Good for Sam Darnold. The Niners will be fine. They they'll figure it out. But yeah, so that was the recap. I'm not gonna lie, I just wasn't blown away by any of the um I guess I wasn't blown away about any of the games. I guess I was just the excitement of the games was not as much as I've had for the playoff games, so I was just kind of like droning along watching them. But yeah, that's that's about it. So, Devin, any thoughts on any of these games before we jump
Really
into
add to
the
it. Yeah, nothing super crazy. We got it finalized. Um, I think we'll have more to talk about it when we do our little special on playoffs, how we would do playoffs and schedules and all that, which we'll do in the off season. Um,
Yep.
I
All
think
right.
right now Super Bowl favorites, you're looking at Jaguars or not Jaguars, excuse me, you're looking at the Seahawks,
Yeah.
and I believe most people are on for the Patriots. Um, I
I
don't know
think
why, but I want to pick the Jaguars over the Patriots though. And I don't know why.
the Jaguars are a good team. The Rams. So you got the Jaguars, the Rams, the Seahawks, the Niners. Honestly, any of these. So like if it's me right now, I'm thinking the favorites are from the AFC, the Patriots, the Jags, and the the team that got the bye. Um,
Broncos. Yeah, I was
Broncos.
forgetting about the Broncos. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are picking Patriots over Broncos, but yeah, Broncos obviously they got to buy. They just a lot of their play when they lost, it was like shockingly like, hey, there's issues going on over here.
Yep.
But I mean, they've been consistent enough. You know, the problems have always obviously haven't been very consistently rearing their head to where they didn't still get the first seed.
Yeah, I also think they have like a lot of like one score game wins, which is fair. But that's the NFL
Yeah,
for you. And then for the NFC, you're looking at the Seahawks. Honestly, I think the favorites for the NFC are all in the same conference. The Seahawks, the Rams, and the 49ers are all kind of like the favorites in the NFC. Though what we can't
yeah.
in the AFC, we can't forget the Chargers. I said the Patriots, the Jags, the Chargers. The Chargers I would take over the Jags, but yeah. I mean, it's
The
gonna be
Jags have just had like like a really like sneaky, quiet, good year. I mean, they're what 11 or 12-5.
yep,
I mean, that's a good season.
it is a good season. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and jump into all these wild card game picks, and we're just gonna do it chronologically. So the first pick is going to be the Rams and the Panthers. I this that's an easy one for me. I'm gonna take the Rams. Um, Probably I would take them by like 10 points, honestly. The NFC South is just really bad. So and the Rams have a good offense, really good offense, obviously. Probably one
Yeah.
of the best,
NFC West easily the strongest division this year.
very easily. So I'm gonna take the Rams. Um,
Mhm.
I'm guessing you're going to take the same.
Yeah.
Oh wait, before we do this, what is the record update with the three picks from last week?
So the new update after you went 1-2
Hmm.
and I went 2-1. The new one is I take that back. You went 3-0. I went 2-1 because we split on the Ravens Steelers. Um, so you are 21-18. I am 29-26. I did the math on that. There are 13 games left in the NFL season. And you are 5 games back.
But technically, I have a better win percentage.
You were 5 games back considering win percentage. If
21,
you
I'm 21 and 18.
21-28,
Oh, 21 and 28. I thought you said 21 and 18. And
no,
you're 28 and 26.
28. I'm 29 and 26.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, never mind. Sounds good. All
So
right,
you are 5 games back. So realistically, I could just agree with you on every game from here on out, and I got it in the bag.
that's true. It's true. So I picked Rams. You picked Rams. The next
Mm.
one is the same thing, same day, January 10th, which is, I believe, Saturday.
Saturday.
Bears Packers. Um, this is going to be a good game. Every time they've played, it's been a little electric. I'm going to go with the Bears in this one. Um, yeah, I just like the Bears. I don't know why. And I think the Bears have, every time I pick the Bears, I've been wrong, but I guess I'm going to die on that hill.
Bears won the last one, but they had to make a pretty big comeback for it to happen. But Pitt Johnson's got that team clicking. Um, and it's a home game for the Bears.
Yep. That's actually
Give
funny too,
me
because like the Rams are going to play in North Carolina, which is so funny because I know it's like something that's always talked about, but like this team's 8-9 in the playoffs, and they have to
yeah,
host. They don't get to. They get to host a game, which is funny. But yeah.
yeah.
Anyway, yeah,
Not to harp on it too much. I'm also going to take the Bears. Let's get that out of the way. So no, you know what? No, I'm taking the Packers. I'm taking the Packers. You know what? Give yourself a no. I like the Bears. I'm taking the Bears.
yeah,
I was just picking to be different, but no, I like the Bears. I think I like division winners getting an automatic playoff spot, but I don't think they should automatically get home field advantage.
yeah. I agree with you on that. I think that one should be like they should seed them based off of, and if that
Record.
means one conference gets of the top three seeds, or that means that's what that means. But
Yeah,
okay.
I'd rather two conference opponents get a rematch for the championship if they were the strongest conference by far. When you have three teams with 10 plus win seasons and they all would have had home field advantage, fuck it, let them have it.
Yep. So then the next one is the Bills Jaguars. It's on Sunday the 11th. So Sunday, Bills Jaguars. We are going to. I'm going to take the. I just talked about how the Jaguars are a sneaky good team, but I want to take the Bills. So I'm going to take the
I'm on the
Bills.
Jaguars, I think. I think the Jaguars have a more complete team
Mm-hmm.
in
They
the
do.
fact that they aren't just Josh Allen.
I know. Yeah, but I'm going to take them anyway because I like chaos and
It's
I
hard to pick
trust.
against Josh Allen.
I trust Josh Allen more than I trust any single player on the Jaguars or coach on the
Mhm.
Jaguars team. So yeah. So I picked Jaguars. You're taking the Bills. We're not going to harp on it too long.
Other way around.
I picked the Bills. You took the Jaguars. Sorry, it's
Yep.
late. Um, the next game is the Niners Eagles.
That's an
The
easy pick.
it's at the Stadium of Brotherly Love. It's at Lincoln Financial. Um, Eagles haven't looked great. They are Super Bowl defending Super Bowl champs. I believe this is a rematch of the NFC Championship game last year. It is, right? I think it is.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm gonna take, yeah, I'm gonna take the Niners.
I'm
Um,
also on the Niners. The Eagles just have the most impressive win the Eagles have right now is against the Bills, 13-12. Um,
mhm,
and I will say that again, that is a team with just Josh Allen.
yeah,
A full team, 22 men beat Josh Allen.
yeah, and the Eagles
Their
haven't.
offense hasn't looked great in a very long time.
Yep,
I just any sort of more complete team is gonna beat them, and I think the 49ers are that for sure.
I would agree. All right, the next
Sorry,
game,
Mario.
Sunday, Chargers Patriots Sunday night. Chargers at Patriots. Um, this is going to be a really good one. I think it's going to be the Patriots. I'm going to take the home field advantage. Patriots are one of the few teams in the NFL where like home field advantage really works. The Chargers, good team. I mean, I like them, but I think the Patriots are a little better. It sucks that this is a wild card matchup, but um, yeah, I'm taking the Patriots.
Um, yeah, I think the big one here is it's something that I've tried to pay more attention to is weather changes.
Yeah,
It takes 3 to 4 days to actually really acclimate to weather. If the Chargers team isn't in Boston tonight, then they're not going to be ready for a Sunday game where it's going to be 25 degrees colder,
yeah,
um, with potential weather. Uh, I, the, I'll take the Patriots for sure. The Chargers aren't a bad team. They're right there on the cusp of being a very, very good team, but they've had just enough hiccups this year where it's kind of thrown them off.
yep.
So I'm on the Patriots.
All right. So that moves to the Monday games, which is the 12th, and the game, I should say. So game is Texans Steelers Monday night. Um, Texans travel to the Steelers. I'm kind of in the same boat. I don't know if the Steelers are a better team than the Texans, but I think that home field advantage going to work out in the Steelers' favor. And I like the idea of Mike Tomlin winning and then everyone still wanting him to be fired. So I'm going to take the Steelers for that reason.
I'm going to take the Texans. The Texans have a suffocating defense,
Mhm.
and they have just enough offense to hopefully score a couple times.
Yeah.
Um, Steelers look terrible playing against the Browns, and the
Yeah,
one
they
thing the
did.
Browns still do have is a good defense.
Hmm.
So I'm going to take the Texans on this one.
That's fair. And, defense travels. That's one of the few things it does. Defense and run game, those always travel. So if you have those, you have a shot. So, yeah, I'm going to say, yeah. But anyway, that means that I went in reverse order. I went Steelers, um, Patriots, Niners. Um, the I can't remember that game and that we picked in reverse order. Sorry, it was 6 games. I went Steelers, Patriots, Niners, Bills, um, Bears, Rams, and you went in reverse order. You went Texans, Patriots, Niners, Jags, Packers, Rams.
Bears, Rams.
What? Oh, you picked the
I
Bears?
wanted, I wanted, I wanted to pick the Packers, but I like the Bears. I just like them.
That's fair. It's kind of like where I'm at is like I don't know if the Bears will win, but I like them, so I picked them.
Yeah, that one
Okay.
was a heart pick, not a brain pick.
Yep. All right. So that's the NFL picks. I mean, these games are going to be exciting. 3 days in a row of playoff football, so it'll be exciting to watch. So that means we move into our picks from the college football world. Uh, we'll discuss them in order. So the last pick, the first game we go over is the Alamo Bowl, which I picked USC, you picked TCU. I don't know how anyone still goes and plays at USC after that game. That was how do you? I don't know how we throw how they lost, but they lost. So the
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, like I'm not mad about it because I don't hate it. I just picked them because I thought they would win, but lo and behold, TCU proved me wrong. So therefore, that's what I get for picking USC. Um, but yeah, so we have the what they went to overtime. It was an exciting game, and the running back for the Horned Frogs was just a menace to society.
he was a backup. Which did you see the story that was going on about that? TCU had that big comeback win against Baylor 10 years ago with a backup quarterback. So 10 years ago in the Alamo Bowl, they played Baylor.
Oregon.
They played Oregon, correct? Yes, they played Oregon. I was like, it's a green team. A green team with too many uniforms, but yeah, it was Oregon. And they ended up coming huge comeback win.
Yep.
That backup quarterback, he ended up getting hurt in a hunting accident and had both his legs amputated.
Yeah.
But he's there on the sideline for TCU in the Alamo Bowl 10 years later to have a comeback win against a Pac-12 opponent.
Mhm.
So that was pretty cool.
The funniest thing about it was everyone was talking about the double amputee, and I watched it. It's not even funny, but it is funny. So I was reading comments, and somebody was like, "Wait, are they talking about the actual dude playing? He has no legs?" And I was like, "That would be crazy." Right. Yeah. So basically, he's USC. It was kind of a slugfest. USC was up in the fourth. TCU came back, tied it pretty close to the end of the game. And then USC, I think, missed a field goal um, as well somewhere in the fourth quarter.
I don't remember. Honestly, it's been over a week.
Yeah,
I can barely remember.
it's I can't. Yeah. So then, anyway, it goes to overtime, and the I think I mean the yeah they just throw out like a little screen pass to the TCU quarterback and or running back, and he literally like takes a soul off out of somebody's body as he runs into the end
US
zone.
USC hit a field goal in overtime.
Yes, there
They're
you
up
go.
by
There you go.
three. They get TCU takes a sack and then they take a penalty. It's 3rd and 20. They just throw the screen to get some yardage back for the field goal, and he ends up tiptoeing down the sideline for a touchdown instead on 3rd and 20,
Yep.
which just a huge play. And then they show the review. He tiptoes the whole thing, but he doesn't step out.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a huge play. Almost had tickets to go. It fell through.
It
Very
happens.
sad I didn't go.
Yeah, it would have been an exciting game to go to. The next game is the college football playoff, FBS playoff system. So it was the first game was the Ohio State Miami game, and Miami
Mhm.
kind of just it wasn't really close. It was close, but it wasn't really. Miami just kind of dominated the whole game. Uh,
Yeah,
Ohio State never got their offense going. Miami
big
was
pick six.
Yeah, big pick six. Miami's defense was very suffocating, um, and they just it was kind of the opposite of what I said. It appeared that Miami out athleted Ohio State,
Yeah,
but a really good game plan. Julian Sand was just never comfortable, and then they never got they have so many good players on the outside, and they could never get them going because Julian Sand never had like an easy completion. He missed a lot of throws, so and that's what happened. Yeah, the Miami offense was played really well. They didn't make any major mistakes. Yeah, just a good overall game by Miami, offense, defense, special teams. So um, we both picked Ohio State in that one.
yep.
So right now, I went 0-6, just for for everyone to know. I missed every pick, which some of the games that I missed, I was really happy I missed because like I was cheering for Indiana even though I picked Alabama, and I was cheering for Ole Miss even though I picked Georgia. Um, and I was excited to see Miami win too, because it's parity. So the only game I didn't really care about was the Oregon Texas Tech game. Did not care too much who won either way. Um, but yeah. Anyway, that being said,
I wanted Tech on that one for sure, but
the next game we're going to talk about is the Oregon Texas Tech game because that was the next game that was played. Texas Tech got their asses handed to them.
I don't even think it was. I mean, we said it was going to come down to was the Oregon defense going to be going to stop Texas Tech from scoring, which they absolutely did because we knew Oregon had a good offense. They either play close games or they play blowouts. Texas Tech had a very good defense, and their defense did play very good. Don't let the final score confuse you.
Yeah, it's just
They gave up.
hard to do anything when you're playing 70% of the snaps of the game.
Yeah, when you're playing the majority of the snaps, the Texas Tech offense literally just had to score twice, and
And
it's a completely different game.
they had two um, They had two drives where they got into the red zone and did not get any
Yeah.
points out of it.
And both of Oregon's touchdowns were short fields. One of them was less than 10 yards.
Hmm.
So yeah, that defense should be very proud. Got to figure out something on offense, make it a little bit more explosive. Um, I don't feels like it might have been an offensive line thing. There was a lot, Oregon was getting a lot of pressure back there.
Yep.
Um, but a lot easier to stack. I think it's easier to stack up on position players in the portal than it is necessarily linemen.
Well, also the positional players are like the big splash. Like that's the things that make the noise. Like people will see 5-star transfer receiver and they freak out. But I mean, defensive line's a lot easier to get people in on than it is offensive line. And so,
Mm.
offensive line is the weakest position in all of football right now at every level. Like with the way practices work, it's really hard to get a good because the only way you get better at O line is rep after rep after rep after rep. And the problem with that is that becomes a fatigue thing. And so, a lot of O linemen, they're already big. Everything's already hard on their joints. So they go through a lot. And in today's game of football, you want these really big mobile guys to play. Like you don't want a really big guy that's super slow. He's got to be an athlete. He's just got to be big.
Yeah.
And so that just comes with injuries. Like when you're that big, throwing around that much weight, it's a lot of stress on your joints and your hips. And you see, like the depth just isn't there for anybody in offensive line around the country.
Um, speaking of practice and reps and injuries, did you see the it was Indiana's center from last year? Did you see his I think it was with I want to say it was bussing with the boys. I don't
No,
remember.
he works for
Uh
Barstool Sports.
it was
Michael
with
Pitt.
Barstool. Okay.
Yeah.
And he was talking about what Indiana's practice is under Kurt Cignetti is.
Yep.
90 minutes, not full pads, and then the rest of their time is they do walkthroughs, no full pads, and then the rest of it is just study. And a lot of people were just like, "That's all you do." And he's like, "That's all we do.
Yeah, but
It's
he said
all it's
90
all
minutes of like intense work. When they are on the field, he says they're going hard. So,
yeah, no, going hard, but you're not sitting there, you know, beating the absolute shit out of each other. You're working hard. You're not beating the shit out of each other. You're staying in shape. You're getting your reps and your technique in, and then you're doing a lot of film study. And you're knowing what to look for next week."
yeah. Well, I mean, the interview where they talked to Kirk Signetti, he talked about this. And he said, funny because, they did an interview, Big Ten thing, where they're like, what would you do if you weren't a football coach? And they asked all the Big Ten coaches, and some Big Ten coaches, like lawyer or whatever. And Kurt Signetti's the only one that didn't get an answer from. He was like, what the fuck are you talking about? But I know the answer for Kurt Signetti is he would have been an NCO in the Army. Um, because he said something. He said, I believe in practicing training to time. I don't believe in training to time. We're not gonna be here all night. We're gonna be here till the job's done. We're gonna train to standard. And that's a thing that like every good NCO in the army just says. Like that's like an NCO phrase. Like we'll leave when the work's done. We don't stay here because they say work ends at 1700. We leave when the work is done. So that means some days
So
we're late, some days we're here, we leave early.
next Sergeant Major of the Army, Kurt Signetti, on a scale of 1 to 10, how happy?
I don't care. It doesn't even affect me. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it does affect me, but it's like, yeah, it doesn't matter. And once you get up that high, you're just there to fluff someone that makes a lot more money than me. So, you know, it doesn't matter. But yeah,
Anyways,
Sergeant Major of the Army is like being like an assistant coach at a really high level program because the Secretary of the Army is the guy you really gotta.
okay. So now he's the new first sergeant, whatever, for your battery.
Oh, that's exciting. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Now you're
Yeah,
excited.
that'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. Yeah, okay, so but yeah, so I guess that's a good segue into the Alabama um, Indiana game. It was also just a blowout. The it's like it was almost like Indiana had out recruited Alabama for the last like 6 years, is what it looked like.
Yeah, it's honestly what it looked like, right?
Yeah, just everything. It was never really a close game, except for like the first quarter. Um, Indiana, I mean, I guess it was like what, like 6-0 at halftime or something like that. But
No, it was worse than that. It was 17-0.
oh, 17-0. I'm thinking of a different game then. But yeah, it was just not. They were. Oh yeah, that's right, because they scored like right before half. It was 10
Yeah,
0.
it was 6-0 Oregon, Texas Tech.
Yeah, there you go.
17-0 here. The Bama fans were like, we got them right where we want them, down by 17. I was like,
Yep.
nope, this team has an offense. Good
Uh,
luck.
Very balanced. Their offensive line and offensive MVP. One guy, Coogan, but it was like him and the O line. He was just gifted it for the to represent the whole line. Like, I mean, that never happens. That just shows you how dominant they were up front. But that also
Yeah,
shows you like what good offensive line play does for a team because
yeah,
they weren't beating them at 4 stars and 5 stars on the outside. They weren't beating them at 4 stars and 5 stars at running back or quarterback or anything. But they had guys with talent. Like you can't have guys with no talent on those positions. They do have guys with talent, but then they had an offensive line that just won every time. And when you win every time, especially in the run game, it makes your whole life a lot easier. And
yeah.
those running backs weren't getting touched for 8 yards until they hit 8 yards, and then those guys are big bruisers, so they're breaking through arm tackles, and it was just in the second half you could just see that it was just weighing down on Alabama, like they had just been bullied too much, and it was over.
I've said it in private conversation before, and I'm sure somebody will roast it for me. But I've said it with like offensive line before. If I had to choose between, because another thing about this Indiana team is it's a very old team for a college team. Like the average starter is like 22 and a half years old. They got a lot of seniors, but they have a lot of experience depth. And I've said it before. I would rather have an offensive line that was all 3 stars, but they've been playing on that line for 2 to 3 years together versus another line that's all 4 stars and they've all just come together this year. I'll
Mm-hmm.
take that 3 star line every single time.
Yep.
They may not be more talented, but they work well together. They know how to work together and they know what they're doing. I'll take that line every day.
Yep. I mean that's fair. That's true. That but offensive line work is just one of those things that it takes time, and I guess that's what we were talking about earlier with Texas Tech. It's like you could go out and buy a bunch of offensive linemen, but unless they're all getting together every day during the off season and working on, how they're blocking every scheme, it's not going to matter much because there's going to be times when they're like, oh, I don't know. Like, you have to completely know, like, if this defense does this, I know that I'm taking this guy and this guy and this guy are taking this guy, and I don't have to worry about anything else. And so, yeah, just a really good. It was like a master class on how O line play works. But yeah, blowout, not a close game. The next game,
No, yeah. Shout out to Fernando Mendoza for silencing the haters. Indiana silenced the haters. This is it. You just beat the hell out of the SEC's, probably second baby now. I would say Georgia's first baby, but you beat the hell out of their second baby, and you put to rest the SEC best conversation, or the SEC is 3 steps ahead of any other conference. It's been put to bed at this point.
well, for now, unless Ole Miss goes out and wins.
If Ole Miss goes out and wins, hey, that's fine. Ole Miss has earned their shot, but okay, the second SEC team to make it in, or actually the third SEC team to make it in won it. Cool. You didn't need five.
Yeah.
As
Well,
an Oklahoma fan, I could say Alabama and Oklahoma didn't need to be in the playoff.
I mean, but I just don't think that there's other teams that deserved it for more than that. Maybe you could make an argument for Alabama, but there just wasn't like that's a dumb argument because who should have been
Notre
in?
Dame,
Who did Notre Dame beat?
Notre Dame His two losses were to Miami and Texas A&M by single digits, 3 points. They're 4 points away from a perfect, or 6 points away because you got to beat them from a perfect season. They lost to two playoff teams in very close, tight games early in the season, and then went on a dominant run.
because they played nobody and they played one ranked team in that stretch. Yeah.
Well, apparently Alabama didn't play anybody either because they played a soft SEC schedule.
Well, yeah. I mean, they lost to Oklahoma and they lost to FSU, and then I guess Georgia in the conference championship. But they beat Georgia at home. Georgia was a good team. They beat Tennessee. Tennessee's a decent team. I mean, like, yeah, I get what you're saying, but I don't think like maybe like if there was a team that didn't make it, it would have been Alabama, not Oklahoma. But that
Yeah,
being
I get that. I think Oklahoma was definitely more deserving over Alabama because they had that late win over them. But even then, I can confidently say Oklahoma probably shouldn't have been in, even
but
though if
the problem
Oklahoma,
is there's just not like there's no teams outside of those two teams that deserve to be in more that were gonna do perform better than them anyway. Like what team
I
was
think,
gonna
I think,
perform better?
I think Notre Dame for sure.
I don't think that's a for sure thing. I think that's
I
a
think Notre
guess.
Dame almost for sure does
Negative.
better than Alabama did against Indiana. Probably tough to find another team after that, but and we're getting way off topic here. But going looking at the SEC bowl record and then looking at their playoff record this year, they just their only playoff wins are against a G5 school and other SEC opponents.
Yes.
Yeah. I would rather Miami make it in over Ole Miss. I don't want the Big Ten to win it either because I don't want them to start take over the SEC's mantle. So I'm almost cheering for Miami. Indiana is okay though, but
So this all would have
I
been
want when we do these conversations. Oh well, they played a soft schedule because they played in this conference. This team beat six ranked teams. Those teams are ranked because they're in the SEC.
yeah, and I mean that's part of it is like there's an SEC bias, but the other, I mean, like, yeah, like there's an SEC bias, but the reason there's an SEC bias is because outside of the Florida State game, in the beginning of the year, and the Texas game, I guess, too, in the beginning of the year, the SEC teams were beating all the other conferences. So,
And I get that, but that's at the beginning of the year, and teams change throughout the year. Alabama
100%.
was a much better. Florida State was a better team at the beginning of the year until they fell apart in conference play.
Yeah, 100%. But
Alabama was a better team for the first 6 weeks.
yes, I agree. But however, the problem with this is like you play the games for a reason, and you can't just be like, oh, that game happened at the beginning of the year, so it doesn't count. It's like, no, that's not the teams that succeeded. It's not their fault that they were ready earlier than you were ready. So how about you figure it fucking out earlier? Like, I'm not here to be like, oh, you were really good. If that was the case, why does any game matter but the last game you play of the season?
That's not what I'm saying. That's not what we're saying.
But
But
that's the argument.
Notre Dame had two early losses to playoff caliber teams. Very, very close losses.
Yes.
Alabama lost to Florida State, lost to Oklahoma, which is a playoff caliber team. So they have one playoff caliber loss. They have one nobody loss at this point, and then they make it to a conference championship and they get blown the fuck out. We can't say we punished BYU for losing to Texas Tech, right? They got blown out, but we didn't punish Alabama literally at all,
Yes. No, I agree with
literally at
that.
all.
But BYU
So,
also
and I'm not saying that
like
Notre
BYU is
Dame's
not
the
the
only.
answer. In fact, here's the reality is the answer for the team that should have been in over Alabama, Devin, would have been like Vanderbilt. That would have been the answer.
I can kind of
Maybe,
agree. They have.
maybe I'm not saying not excluding. So, like, let's say we remove Alabama and Oklahoma, right? The two teams that are in are Notre Dame and Vanderbilt.
I would agree. I could be fine with that.
But
I
that's
think I could be fine
still
with that.
like, like, so the thing with the SEC is now maybe that like games happen and people lose, but like you could be currently right now calling the Big Ten caliber into question because Ohio State got absolutely mollywopped by Miami.
I would agree with that. I don't think there's a power two. And what I'm not saying is I think the SEC was the dominant program for the
Yeah.
last 20 something years. It's been the dominant conference. I have no doubt on that. As soon as everyone could start paying players, the gap went from this to this, and then coaching matters so much more.
Yeah. I mean, and then the reality is like yes, is the Big Ten and the SEC the deeper conferences? Absolutely. Like those two teams, like the Big Ten probably has 4 to 5 teams every year that are going to be really good and probably compete for playoff spots, right? So this year it was four. Man, four, yeah, because I would consider like USC in that like almost tier, right?
Yeah.
And
Well,
then
Iowa into the season ranks too. I mean, we don't think about Iowa because they are still have some efficiency problems, but was
yeah, Iowa is 1 win away from being in the conversation as well, to be fair. And then the SEC had 6 teams that were being considered. If you consider the 5 that made it, Georgia, Ole Miss, A&M, Oklahoma, Alabama, and then Vanderbilt would be the other one. Some people would even say Texas. I wouldn't, but some people would say Texas. So like those two conferences are clearly deep. And then, but there are other teams in other conferences that can compete at the athlete level, can compete at the funding level. And it isn't that they play in these super deep conferences, but every any given day when they play an SEC or a Big Ten team, they can absolutely win in matchups, they can win in coaching. So like all these things do matter. But so like I think that the most important thing to remember is that just because your program doesn't play in the SEC or the Big Ten doesn't mean that that program still isn't elite. Like,
absolutely. I just think, and what I'm saying is the issue, well, and I think we're on the same page. The problem is when you automatically go, hey, 4 SEC teams are going to get in no matter what, and maybe we'll squeeze in Bama if they're on the outside, you limit the shots for those other teams.
yeah, but I mean,
So we,
this is something that we'll talk about when we get into like what we think the college football playoff should look like, what we think the college football season should look like. I think there's a lot of ways to fix this besides the way that we do it, they do it now. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and move on to the next game, which is the Georgia Ole Miss game. It is getting late. I do have to wake up very early to go to work, so we are going to move this along. Georgia Ole Miss, great game. Um, yeah, it was wild. So the final score was 39-32.
39 to 34.
34, that's right. You said that if Ole Miss won with by a 50-yard field goal, you would go buy a lottery ticket.
Yep.
Last minute 50-yard field goal is what you said.
Yep.
Ole Miss basically won with a last minute 47-yard field goal.
Yep.
And that's crazy.
When's the next lotto?
I think you could buy them every Tuesday, Thursday, or like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or something like that. It's like every other day. Right? When do the lottery tickets come out? I actually have a lot.
Tuesday, Friday. So I'll buy my ticket tomorrow when I get paid.
I have a lottery expert. Yeah, my lottery expert, my source is saying that that is correct. So Thursday's a good day to buy. Yeah,
Thursday, good day to buy. 90% of winners bought on a Thursday.
there you go. There you go. So yeah, that game was insane. It was a wild ending, but yeah, I just Trinidad Chambliss is a monster. And if
That dude's legit.
I
I
hope
hope
he.
he gets another year, honestly.
I don't because I don't want to have to play him. Like OU has to play Ole Miss
Oh yeah,
every
that's right. They're
year.
our rival now. They're our rival now. So yeah,
Yeah,
no,
so
never mind,
like
bro. You've done enough. You got two national championships from different conferences. Fuck off, dude.
yeah, but this also goes to show. You know what's crazy? You want to hear another crazy thing? Last year, Trinidad Chambliss at the beginning of the year, Fair State was running a two quarterback system. Here's the crazy part. The only reason they stopped running the two quarterback system at Fair State, the Division two conference or Division two team, was because the other guy that was running quarterback got hurt. This year,
That's crazy.
that guy I believe leads them to a national title. But guess what he did? Guess what he did? He threw for like 500 yards, rushed for 500 yards, and then received for 500 yards. He's like technically a tight end, but he's like they used him like the Saints used Prime. Um, you know the guy from BYU. I just can't remember his name.
Yeah, white guy.
Magna. It doesn't matter. All that you need to know. I can't remember his name right now, but yeah, just the fact that
A true
this
gadget player.
I wouldn't call him a gadget because like he's a weapon. Like he's a monster. And he's in the transfer portal right now. So
Oh, yeah, hey, that guy right there was my. I would be telling people that that guy was my backup. Like, hey, that guy that's about to go play in a national championship. That guy was my backup. Come look at me.
well not even that. Like turn on the tape and like that guy's a weapon. At some point you go, worked out for Ole Miss. Like
Yep.
we'd be probably pretty stupid if we didn't go and get this guy. I mean, like, hey, Oklahoma, just saying. We do need help at tight end.
Vandy's he's a lock for Vandy. I can feel it.
I don't know. I have to look into it. But anyway,
Oh
being
no,
said,
Vandy actually got a 5-star quarterback. Never mind, dude. You're fucked.
yeah, Vandy got a 5-star quarterback. Well, no, this guy wants to play tight end.
Oh yeah, come okay,
He's
come to Oklahoma,
he's
brother. We got you.
he's 6'4", 245, and he was playing.
No, because we got two tight ends in the transfer portal already. We're
Fuck
good.
them. Don't care.
No,
Don't
dude, I
care.
no man. When your name is Rocky Beers, I don't care what else you do, brother. You're my starter.
Dude, that guy,
Rocky Beers, yeah, that's
yeah.
my starter, buddy. That's a
I
tight end
know how
right
that
there.
guy's dad looks. Like I know how his mom looks too, to be honest. I know exact. Okay, so anyway, back on track. This dude, yeah. So Georgia, Ole Miss, great game. Georgia loses.
Fantastic game, just as good as the game they played earlier this season. This time, Ole Miss comes out on top.
Yeah, and I kind of said you said it, I said it. I said that I could see that happening. Then I obviously picked Georgia and said they'd pull away at the end. Completely wrong. I was cheering for Ole Miss the whole time, to the
Yep.
point that when I was watching the game, Ole Miss would do bad. When I was just watching, like I was watching the ESPN tracker, Ole Miss would do good. When I would watch the game, in against my own best interest, I would just go back to the ESPN tracker and watch like the play by plays because I was like, I want Ole Miss to win. I don't want Georgia to win. So yeah, that brings us to the final game, which is the
That's the game.
the best game by far, the FCS National Championship, Illinois State, Montana State. Um, this is the best way to break it down. First half, all Montana State. There you go up at halftime, 21-7. They go in, come back out. Illinois State scores, or Montana State gets the ball, 3 and out, I believe. Illinois State scores 14-21. Montana State scores 28-14. And then Illinois State proceeds to dominate the game until the very end. They go to kick a game-winning field goal with a terrible field goal kicking unit. This is where like the coaching decisions for this team just started. Like you have his name is Tommy Rittenhouse, which is I don't know if there's any relation, but Rittenhouse. So This guy is just a baller. First of all, he is getting absolutely demolished. Montana State clearly has the better athletes, I should say. It's just a bunch of corn-fed white boys. That's all it is, and they're just all freak athletes somehow, but like Viking genetics, you can tell. And they are destroying this, yeah. Um, but Illinois State, they basically lean on their run game, set up some good passing plays. Um, Illinois State has two really good receivers. They had a guy, um, Spinatsky or Spinats or whatever, um, Sapowski, something like that. Polish last name. Baltic, or I'm sorry, Slavic at the very least last name. And this guy is like an All-American stud, number two. And then they have a true redshirt freshman slot that is just a weapon. He entered the transfer portal today. Um, and I want him. I'm an OU fan. I watched that game. I want that guy. That guy's a weapon. That guy, they threw like a 5 yard dump route, or it was a crosser. It's probably like a 7 yard completion cross route to him. And he proceeded to make 7 tacklers miss on a very sound Montana State defense to score a touchdown. He also scored the touchdown in the overtime, which gets me to the end of this, which is Montana State scores a touchdown.
You missed the biggest part. You missed a big part. They go to kick the field goal. It gets blocked.
Yes,
Montana State takes it back to their own 45-yard line.
almost in field
They
goal
get a
range.
seven they get a 7-yard play to the 38. They're in field goal range. They take a sack, 3rd and 6 at the 41. They got to get a few yards for this game-winning field goal. They obviously have a good kicker if he's making 55-yarders, right? They're trying to get the play up. The quarterback looks away for a second, and the ball flies past him on the snap. They lose 40 yards and they have to punt.
Yeah, first of all, atmosphere in Nashville was electric. That should be stated. That was like the most, like, granted, it was like 28,000 people. FCS record for national championship game. That was the most electric FCS title game I've ever seen.
I mean, hardcore FC, like if you're like, who's your favorite team and you name an FCS team, you're a hardcore football fan and I love you.
Yeah, I mean, you go into like the Big Sky region of the United States, which is like North Dakota, South Dakota, Wyoming, Idaho, all those places. Idaho's a little different. Everyone over there loves Boise State, but in Montana, Wyoming, all these places, um, FCS football is the supreme ruler of football, especially in
Mm.
Montana. Montana, their two top programs are FCS programs. Montana State, Montana, it's great. The Dakotas, and then when you get into like Illinois, the diehard football fans love FCS football, because their big school, FBS school, Illinois is just kind of garbage. So there isn't a lot of like love there for football at the FBS level. There's some, but it's just not as important. And then
Hello, Dustin.
so you have a lot of like really good, like it's electrics, and when you don't have like the the closest Texas has to like that die hard FCS program fan base is UTRGV, and they're not even touching what those schools are doing. Maybe one day they can get there, but
Oh, what about Tarleton?
Tarleton has a really good fan base too, actually. Good student body. It's kind of like a Tarleton State actually, yeah, really good fan base. They don't have as big crowd. Like I can look it up for you right now. I'm gonna look up Tarleton State's football. Because Tarleton State for the longest time was a Division 2 um,
Right.
team, right? And so they weren't selling crazy numbers. They play at Memorial Stadium, capacity 24,000, so it's a decent sized stadium. Let's see,
They average attendance is almost 19,000.
yeah, so that's a really good, yeah, yep. So that's probably the best Texas team. Maybe Abilene
Damn,
Christian too. Um,
that might be a team we need to go check out this year.
I've always wanted to go to the um a Tarleton State game. I had a buddy that ran track, D1 track at Tarleton State, and they had some good he had some good things to say. Um, I'm trying to find Abilene Christian's average attendance. Hold on. It doesn't matter. But yeah, so as far as like UTRGV, well, just to say what I was saying, UTRGV is probably like a top three team in Texas as far as attendance goes, because like teams like UIW don't draw anybody. Teams like Lamar don't draw anybody. So like you have teams like UTRGV, obviously Tarleton. I think Abilene Christian and Stephen F. Austin as well over in Nacogdoches. Stephen F. Austin also gets some good crowds. So those teams, good crowds. Everyone else, not great. Because FCS football for some reason in Texas isn't as big, but I love it. So
Yeah, FCS football is legitimate football. If you love football, you need to like I get it. There's a lot of games going on. I'm not going to go out of my way to watch FCS football unless it's a team I personally support, like UTRGV. But it's something like if there's football on and it's FCS football, watch it. You're going to enjoy it.
and now that to say this, because we're gonna get back to the end. This game was the most exciting game I've watched in this bowl season.
Oh yeah, 100%.
The closest second was you have the next closest ones were the TCU, um, so TCU, USC, Georgia Tech. Who did Georgia Tech play?
BYU.
BYU, um, Ole Miss, Georgia, and A&M, Miami.
Yeah.
Those were exciting. Those are like the most exciting games. This game might have been
Oh
more
wait,
exciting.
okay, yeah, A&M Miami for you. I get it. You're a defense guy, but not for everybody else.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair. But um, this game was by far the most exciting. You have the most of these guys are not going to go play in the NFL, right? Like that's this case for most colleges, to be fair, but it's especially true when you get to like the FCS Division 2, Division 3 level. Most of these guys are not going to play. Actually, another really good game was the Division 3 national championship.
Oh, yeah, I watched that one. North Central versus UW Riverside or whatever it was.
Yeah, UW River Valley, I think.
Yeah,
Um,
oh, yeah, that one was a good game. That was really fun.
that
North
one
Central is like North Central is the Saban Bama of Division 3.
sort of. You have some like historically, so like Wisconsin is like a Division 3 powerhouse. Like the way the Big Sky area is for FCS, Wisconsin is like that for Division 3 football. And then in the same side of things, Michigan is like that area. Or so you know how like SEC country, the Deep South, is like the diehard of diehards for FBS football. And granted,
Mhm.
there's some other ones. The Big Sky is that region for FCS. For Division 2, it's Michigan. You got Grand Valley State, Ferris State. There's another one that I'm not thinking about right now, but I know it's in there. Got a lot of Michigan-based teams that are really crazy diehards. And then for Division 3, it's Wisconsin because Wisconsin has this team that just won a national championship, first time ever. Then Wisconsin also has UW Whitewater. Um, there's one other like UW Appleton or something, but like the Wisconsin loves themselves some D3 football.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah,
Also, you saying kinda on them being the Saban Alabama of Division 3 football, 6 national championship appearances in a row.
yeah, no, 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 no. They are. I the thing is like there's been more. Like Wisconsin Whitewater is a good example. Like from the early 2000s to like the mid 2015, 2010, they were like in almost I think there was like in like 20 years they had 14 national championship
How about
appearances.
this? They're the current dynasty.
Yes, North Central is absolutely the current dynasty. I was just saying in my head, I was like, there's definitely better D3 programs historically. North Central
Gotcha.
is really
Okay.
good though. Like the D3 just is like a dynasty machine. Like that's what happens. And then like
Yeah.
Belton has a D3 powerhouse, UMHB, which isn't as good as it, or yeah, UMHB, University of Maryland Baylor. They're like the Texas is, they're like the UT of Texas D3 football. But anyway, moving forward. Um, yeah, so the game ends in so overtime. This is back to the FCS National Championship. Illinois State scores first. Field goal is blocked. PAT, I should say, is blocked, which they had a blocked field goal. Then um, Montana State gets the ball. First down, it's a sack or something, incompletion. Penalty goes to second 15.
Well, I
Then
think
it
they
goes
got one first down. They got one first down.
no. Yes, you're right. You're right.
Yes, because yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, penalty. Something happens. It's third and 12. They throw an incomplete pass. Then which it almost was intercepted. The third and 12. Then it's fourth. It's no fourth. I'm sorry. It was third and 10. Throw an incomplete pass. It's fourth and 10.
Yeah.
Illinois State shows all out blitz. They blitz seven, man over top. They have it. Montana State. It was a bad defensive call, in my opinion. Montana State has a guy in the slot run a corner route who just shreds this backup safety, whoever he is. It's like 4 yards of separation, walk off touchdown. Actually, not. They score a touchdown. Then obviously they make their PAT because they have a functional PAT unit. So then
Yeah.
that's how they went. It was Illinois State's game until like the last second.
Yeah. The game basically was decided on from like the most exciting like four plays you could have in the final, minute of football plus overtime.
Yeah.
You got a blocked field goal, snap over the head of the quarterback, a blocked extra point to give the other team a shot to win it once, and then a fourth and 10 walk-off touchdown, essentially a walk-off touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was so back and forth. I was cheering for Illinois State. I think we both picked Illinois State to win just because we like defense, and it made Oklahoma look better that they beat the FCS national champion. Um, Not that much, but it counts. Uh, yeah, that was like super exciting football though.
Yes, it was. Okay. So that means we're going to move on from what we picked last week. I went 0-6. Devin went 2-4,
3-3.
3-3. You picked because you were right about Indiana, you were right about Ole Miss, and you were right about TCU. Yep. And I went 0-6. I'm glad I went 0-6
So
because some of those games I didn't want to pick.
so with that, I have an announcement to make. This is big news. Big news, everybody. I hope you guys are paying attention on this one. After that, the updated records for college football are Peyton at 42 and 34, me at 47 and 32. With 3 games left to pick in the season, Peyton is 3.5 games back.
I lost. Good job, Devin. All right. That being said, we're going to move on to we're going to pick our picks for the next two games. So the next two games, the picks are Indiana, Oregon. That's the first game, Indiana, Oregon. Look, this is going to be a good game. It's a good game in the regular season. Um, it's hard to beat teams twice. Oregon is very explosive. I would not be surprised if either of these teams won. So I'm picking based off of who I want to win, and
Mhm.
I want this national championship. I want Indiana to be in the national champ. I think the biggest fu to college football, big money would be an Indiana Ole Miss national championship. So I'm picking Indiana.
I am also picking Indiana because that's who I want to win. But I think it's hard to beat teams twice, yes, but they beat Oregon by 10 at Oregon.
Yes.
If there's a team, and also here's another important big thing to point out. Indiana in the new playoff format is the first team to win after a bye. Bye teams are 1-7 because of Indiana, and not only did they win, they kicked ass.
Yeah.
They beat the hell out of them. They're going to have this team ready. They're going to have this team sharp. Um, Dan Lanning is a great coach. He's a fantastic coach, but that Indiana team is going to come ready to play on a neutral site. I think they got a great shot.
Yeah.
So
Something
I'm
to
going to
be
take
said
Indiana.
about all four of these coaches left being from the Nick Saban coaching tree.
Yeah, I mean, you can't argue that he's not the GOAT.
Yeah,
I
he's the
mean,
GOAT. 100%.
yeah, just
No,
just spending a few years under him is enough for you. The amount of knowledge you would take in is insane.
yeah. So that brings us to our next game, Ole Miss Miami. This one's tough, but Miami's defense. I'm just gonna say put it out there. I'm picking Ole Miss. I think Miami's the better team. I want Ole Miss to win, so I'm gonna take Ole Miss. But I don't know if Ole Miss has the answers for that Miami front seven. And that being said, still taking Ole Miss because I want them to win, and that's who I'm going to be cheering for to win the game. So therefore,
Um, I think I'm going to enjoy this game as a true neutral for once in my life. Um,
because part of you still hates this Ole Miss team for Lane Kiffin being the.
no, I don't actually hate Ole Miss. What I do hate is the SEC.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true.
Um, and even though Ole Miss hasn't had a national championship since 1962, which I'm gonna go, almost started watching that 30 for 30 on their national championship. I saw some alludes to racism. I want to know if I could be mad at Ole Miss about that. But the past is the past, you know? Not really, never forget. Um, so I'm fine with either one of these schools making it to the national championship, but I want Miami, I think, a little bit more, just because it makes sure the SEC for sure isn't in that championship game. The Matt Mitchell skit on it will be electric. It'll be hilarious. Um, but yeah, for a nobody, I mean, the Big Ten, which is going to be there no matter what. Big Ten can claim their third consecutive uh, national title
National.
appearance.
Yep. Or
The
Pac-12.
ACC makes it. The ACC, that they were like, no one from the ACC should be in. They make it in. They've proved that they were one of the better teams, especially if they beat a second SEC team. I mean, that's just the icing on the cake, I think. So I kind of want Miami to go. Here's what I'll say. Old, Ole Miss faced a lot of pressure from that Georgia defense, and he still made great plays. Miami is going to do a similar level of pressure, but so for me, the question is Miami offense, right? You got Carson Beck, who's been here before.
Yeah.
I can't remember his last name, but his first name's Tony, the true freshman running back. He's great. He's going to be great. I think Ohio State has a great defense. I think Ohio State has a great defense, and they still scored on them. Seven, you don't count the pick six, they scored 17. Um, I think they'll be able to keep up with Ole Miss on offensively. So I think it's going to be another really, really good game. I think Ole Miss has the edge, but I'm gonna pull a little bit harder for Miami. I said I'd be a true neutral, but I think I'm gonna pull for Miami a little bit harder.
Yeah, I think Miami has the edge in this one. I do. I think their defense is better than Ole Miss's defense, and defense is what wins these games. I feel like so far. Um, or the fact that you don't have a pulse. If you have no pulse on offense, that hurts. But overall, so far, defense, making plays on defense has won these games. So I think Miami does have the edge, but I am going to be rooting for Ole Miss. So that being said, so that means I'm Indiana Ole Miss. Devin is Indiana Miami. Okay, so that is college football, which means the only thing we have left to talk about is the UFL. The news out about the UFL right now is we have all 8 coaches. The last coach, last time we talked, the last coach that we didn't have was the Houston coach, and it is going to
Okay.
be Kevin Sumlin.
For real? Did I
Yes,
miss that?
the former head coach of the Houston Gamblers is now the head coach of the Houston Gamblers. I might have said the wrong name.
Oh, Kevin Summerlin. Holy shit.
Yeah, so he is the current head coach of the Houston Gamblers. He used to be the head coach of the Houston Gamblers. He
I
was
didn't even realize he
released.
was the coach in 2022. Holy shit.
Yeah, he was released for CJ Johnson, who is a terrible coach. But because the president of operations was Daryl Johnston, who the former great Moose Johnston, um, he loves CJ Johnson for no particular reason, and that's the reason that guy had a job. And now that guy, they released him, and they brought back Kevin Sumlin, who knows, maybe good, maybe bad, but I don't know. But anyway, now we know that. So this is what we know right now is they're going to do a quarterback allocation draft
Mhm.
based upon region. Then they're going to do drafts by positions. There's going to be a QB round or a running back round, receiver round, all those things for all the players that are already in the UFL pool. Then they're going to do a draft for players that want to play in the UFL in general, I believe.
Right.
And then that'll solidify the teams. That being said, the other allocation is that the Michigan team is becoming the Columbus Aviators. San Antonio is becoming the Orlando team. And Memphis is becoming the Louisville team. So, yeah. And then the other, I guess, caveat to that is that these teams, all of that being said, all these reallocations, each team's going to have certain colleges that are within their area that they get first dibs on, right? Um, the caveat to that is from their roster from 2025, they have 12 spots that they can protect. So they can protect 12. So you could imagine the Dallas Renegades, I would hope so, protect Luis Perez. Maybe they don't, because that would be great for another team to go get Luis Perez. You could imagine that the um, DC team is going to protect Teamu, Jordan Teamu. And then, so there's some players out there that they will get protected. Other players won't. They'll be thrown up for a draft. There's been a lot of UFL players that have retired. I don't know if that's because the owner said if you're 25 and you're still trying to do this, just retire. Like that's kind of an insane thing to say, but whatever. Yeah. So
Well,
that's
this whole offseason has been so shaky. It's kind of like, hey man, time to go do something else because this is too shaky to rely on.
yeah, that's fair. And I mean, some people have seen the writing on the wall probably. So what's happening is all those yeah. So and then they're going to do a lottery to decide the draft order, which I think is a fair way to do it if you're kind of restarting from nothing.
Yeah.
12 protected players is not a lot. So each of these
No.
teams are going to have 40 some odd players on the team, I believe, maybe 50, up to
I
50
think last
total.
year the limit was 50.
Yeah, so 50 players. So they're going to be drafting, if they use all their protected player spots, they're going to be drafting
38 players.
38 players. So all brand new. So yeah, I agree. But yeah, so that's the UFL situation right now.
Yep.
Um, we'll see. I mean, the more to follow. Like, there's going to be more announcements coming out, especially as we get closer. Kickoff, I believe, is in the end of March. Still,
Yeah, I don't think they've ever released a full schedule yet at all. I think they're still shooting for end of March, but
yeah.
I
So
mean,
kickoff is end of March. So we will see what happens. But we are getting closer and closer as the weeks go by. So hopefully things get figured out.
yep.
That being said, yeah, that's everything that I think we were supposed to talk about. Oh, transfer portal, actually. So the craziest thing that's happened in the transfer portal is that Washington quarterback signed like a $5 million deal with Washington, and then the next like 2 days later decided like actually I'm going to enter the portal, and now Washington is suing that quarterback, saying that he has to play for them, which is crazy.
Well, he signed, from my understanding, is he signed a contract,
Mhm.
and it was like, hey, this is a legally binding contract. You have to go through with this. Um, and blah 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 this, blah 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 that.
Mhm.
You have to play here for the 2026 season. I think it's a revenue sharing deal.
All of this is revenue share and NIL, like name, image, like yeah,
Yeah. So basically, he's like, no, I'm gonna go to LSU, play for Lane Kiffin, which
because they offer
just
him.
makes me hate Lane Kiffin more, um, which I'm down for. Um, yeah, but don't. This one's hard because obviously the dude hasn't been paid yet, right?
Yes.
From my understanding, he hadn't been paid yet.
Yeah. No, he hasn't been.
Okay, so I can see it being like, well, you aren't out anything. What are you going to enforce? It's not like you've been paid. On the other hand, you signed the contract to play there. I mean, that's crazy. Also,
Mhm.
though, if he's like immediately enters the transfer portal, it's like he's going to LSU. It's another. If the whole Big Ten is basically getting involved in this, and this is why it makes it a big deal. The whole Big Ten is getting involved in this to go after it to find tampering. They're gonna be like, no, you have to sit here and play, which means Washington. He's gonna be the quarterback at Washington next year. If he doesn't, get his way, he's gonna be the quarterback at Washington next year. He's not gonna want to be there, and he's gonna be terrible.
Which is going to hurt his stock.
He's gonna hurt his stock. He's not gonna play well.
And
He's
LSU's
gonna
going
get
to
his
go.
money,
Yeah, and LSU's going
but
to go out and
it's
find another quarterback.
yep. LSU's gonna
Probably
go find
Sam
another
Levitt.
quarterback. But if the Big Ten gets in on this, is like, hey, we're gonna track down the tampering and we're gonna prove it for once. That like, hey, there are no back channels. We've tracked all this, or we tracked through the back channels. We found out this was happening. This is why LSU is responsible. What is the NCAA going to do about it? Truthfully, probably nothing.
Yeah, I
They're
mean, here's the thing: these guys are not marked as employees of the university. There's not a lot of enforcement that can be done regardless,
Mhm.
and they refuse to make them employees of the university because then that opens up a whole other slew of things like maybe they can play as long as they want to play. As long as they're at school, they can make it. They may, as long as they're enrolled in college, they can make a play. So, which means if your guy is going to get a doctorate's degree, he can play, right? So, like that's part of it, right? And then the other part of this is that, I mean, listen, this system this year has reared its ugly head to maximum. Over 4,000, I think it's almost reached 5,000 people have entered the transfer portal this year. That
it
is,
was one third of all college football players.
yeah, that is over twice the amount that it was any other year. And what we've seen, and but it's not just on the players, it's the teams. The fact that you can tell a guy he's on scholarship, and then you can go talk to him and be like, hey, that scholarship's not going to be here for you next year, even though we offered you a full ride. The scholarship's not going to be here for you next year because we're processing you out. I mean, here's what I will say. It's a revenue share thing right now. So every year, what you bring to the field affects what you pay. So you can make $1 million one year, the next year you're good. You can make less if you don't perform to that standard, right? If you're gonna treat it like professional sports, which is what it is, and you want some continuity, the only way to fix this is to start treating it like professional contracts, which means they sign a contract for 3 years, 2 to 3 years, maybe even 4 years if you're feeling froggy, and they have to fulfill that contract or they don't get paid. And yes, that means that you're probably going to front them money when they don't play as well. But some guys will play above their contract and you won't pay them as much. And these things will probably, I mean, the best answer I can have is 2 to 3 year contracts for when you sign out of high school. And then after that, you can do shorter term contracts for lower pay, or you can do longer term contracts for more pay. But that's the only way I would see you could fix this. But that being said, clearly this system's broken. And the sport we
It's
love is being, it's still awesome. But college football is not like the idea that you have a guy that rises through the ranks, comes in as a freshman, scout team for 2 years, starts his junior year and dominates for 2 years, and he's a fan favorite, is vastly evaporating. It's like quickly evaporating that chance.
Mhm.
Oh, you had an Owen Heineke this year. Might get him back next year. Not looking too good, but we'll see. Stories like that, where a guy goes and plays at a university for 4 years and doesn't touch the field till his senior year, and then he comes in his senior year and is one of the best players on the team, will not happen moving
Right.
forward because people are going to be like, I'm going to leave and go play somewhere else. Because at the end of the day, I get it. These kids want to play football. They want to be on the football team. They want to play football. And some people, they just have really bad agent advice, and their agent's like, "Oh, you can make it to the league. You make it to the league." And probably not the best advice for all these guys. But also, like, if you're a college that doesn't offer a great degree, and you're there at a college that doesn't offer a great degree, and then on top of that, these kids don't want to, like, I'm gonna just go somewhere that'll give me a really good degree. Kobe McKenzie from Oklahoma, he left Oklahoma to go play at Northwestern. People are like, that's dumb. Well, he's going to play 90% of the snaps at Northwestern, which would maybe affect his draft stock positively. And on top of that, he's going to get his degree from Northwestern, which is very, very, very prestigious. So,
It's hard, and I'm looking down because I'm trying to look up this scenario that we're thinking about. It's difficult for a lot of this because, okay, first of all, the portal situation and the playoff situation combined is fucked up,
mm-hmm.
but it's still a step in the right direction, if that makes sense.
Yes.
What I'm saying is because we do this a lot, especially here in America, is where we put something forward and it turns out it wasn't 100% perfect, and we go scrap the whole thing, scrap it. It's like, no, dude, you're a few fixes away from having the greatest thing that ever happened. Like we're so like imagine the dude that was making chocolate ice cream just stopped at the ice cream and never added the chocolate. Where would we be as a country?
Yeah, 100%. Imagine the
Imagine the
guy.
dude, imagine the guy that figured out the first pit master has that fire going. He's mastered the fire, ribs, pulled pork, sausages. He's like, damn. Well, there's no need to ever put beef on this thing, and you would never have a smoked Texas brisket. Where would we be as a society if we never took these great steps, right? We're definitely going to talk about it at a later point, but a few tweaks would make these systems so much better, and we would be in an all-time great place for college football.
Yeah. And the only way these tweaks can happen is if the NCAA gets their head out of their ass and appoints someone, as they should do for almost every sport they have now, because, and here's the reality of the situation: the players did not make this a business. The
Correct.
greedy old people in charge of these systems made this a business.
Hey, 90% of the problems that we have as people can be traced back to greedy ass old people.
So these people have created the problem by their own hand, and now all they got to do is do a few things here and there to make the system work. Because this is the system. This is going to be the system. It's never going to go back, even if you wanted it to, which I don't really want it to. I want players to make money, but it's never going to go back. So where do we go from here is the question. We are going to answer that question in the offseason. But just remember that this isn't on the players. When a player gets told, hey, you're not going to play for us next year, or hey, last year you made $700,000. This year you're going to make $7,000 because this is what we saw because you got hurt. And oh yeah, you got hurt because I'm the coach and I was driving the wagon around and I accidentally ran you over. But because you didn't play, you're only going to make this much money.
Yep.
Like these guys, it's a process that happens and it's greed because there is only so much money that goes around and everyone's always trying to improve their roster. But
But
the
yeah, and
league
it's
only
the
goes so far The loyalty only goes so far, and it has to go both ways. If your school isn't loyal to you, why would you be loyal to them?
I can tell you right now, as a diehard Oklahoma fan, and obviously I never had the talent or the knowledge to go play, college football. But if I was like, hey, we're going to offer you a full ride scholarship right now, come play football for the University of Oklahoma. I'm like, this is a dream come true. But I also remember growing up as a poor kid, and if the University of Texas called, hey, I don't give a fuck what you do this year, you're going to be get $1 million to be on the roster. I'm going to be wearing burnt orange on Saturdays. It's just the hardcore truth.
Yeah,
And it's easy. And this is like a real moment. We joke a lot. But as a lot of these kids come out of these situations, they're like, I'm going to take care of myself. Whether they do a good job of that or not is irrelevant. I'm going to go get that money now because I've never had it before,
yeah. You
which is the
also,
smart thing to do because most of them aren't
yeah,
going to play in the NFL.
you also open the door because this happened overnight. So you open the door to have a lot of shitty, terrible agents in the ears of these kids because the need for a sports agent tripled overnight 5 years ago. And no one, and there's not a lot of sports agents in the game right now. And these
Holy
dudes that
shit, what am I doing with my life? I could go be a sports agent right now.
you get, it's a dire need. It is a dire need because these kids, there's players on teams, right, that have, like let's say there's 7 wide receivers on whatever university, and all these players are being represented by one guy. And so what you often see is one of that guy's player, like that guy is like a really portal heavy guy. So he always tells his guys, we're going to enter the portal this year because we're going to go chase the bag. And those players are like, okay. And the agent handles everything. So the agent's like, players like, oh, I'm in the portal. And then a lot of times these guys are also in cahoot and talking with families. It's not always the player that's like, I want to go. Sometimes it's the team that says you need to leave. But regardless, like that's where we've gotten. And that's what it is. So yeah. Like I said, we are going to talk about how this all can be fixed. And we're going to tell you how to fix it, how we can fix it. And then me and Devin are going to run for co-commissioner of the NCAA college football. Just kidding.
Every stadium has to have a tailgate section with a live smoker that got lit up 24 hours before kickoff.
Disagree. I don't think every state knows how to smoke. I don't want to see that in California. Nice try, though. I see where you're coming from, but there's some states that don't deserve that.
If your smoker's bad, that's on your university. Start investing in your barbecue team, all right? That's not on me. You better have that smoker going.
Hey, that's a good idea. All right. So that's been the episode. We kind of covered everything we wanted to talk about. Thank you guys for joining. Um, yeah, thank you guys for joining. This has been episode 20 of Tailgate Sports Media Podcast. I'm Peyton. That's Devin. Thank you guys.